So today we're going to go over many interesting IT trends happening at a global as well as local level and seeing how it's impacting many of you involved in the IT space, both from a provider perspective as well as those of you that are involved as technology end users. Many external factors have an impact on technology operations, related investments, and ultimately on IDC's predictions on the future of technology. Business, social, economic, and technology trends all play a part in shaping the future. While dozens of external factors influence the future, our job at IDC is being able to identify some of the more primary forces. So here you can see 10 of these primary forces that are important to consider when projecting the future. Collectively, these drivers help lead to the 10 predictions, which I'll be discussing today. Latin America is emerging from a 2-year adjustment to the end of the commodity boom of the prior decade. Over the last 2 years, consumer purchasing power and economic conditions have deteriorated, curbed by political uncertainty amidst corruption scandals. For many countries, the adjustment will be coming to an end by the end of 2017, with tighter monetary policies and easing inflation. Cautious optimism will slowly turn back the cycle back to a growing mode, with GDP expected to return to an average 2% growth during 2018 and 2019. Against this political and economic backdrop, digital transformation, or DX as we like to say, has created an increasingly global marketplace in which Latin American companies feel the pressure to keep moving forward at a frantic pace. Digital disruption is pushing Latin America's largest and most successful companies to transform. As we enter 2018, 1 in 9 medium and large companies in the region is undertaking or considering a digital transformation strategy or initiative. But are they too late? Less than a third of them feel that they have reached the transformation phase. During 2018 and over the next 36 months, Latin America will turn the digital corner. Investment in DX will grow at a compound 25% and will reach more than $57 billion in 2020, representing close to 40% of all IT spending. The digital economy will steadily become just the economy. The staggering pace of current technological innovation is only escalating the sense of urgency. Entry of global digital natives like Amazon, Alibaba, Uber, and Airbnb, among others, is lighting a fire under the mostly digital immigrant corporate space of Latin America. It's interesting that despite the economic slowdown, Airbnb and Uber have named Latin America as their fastest growing region in 2017. To become digital natives, Latin American companies will embrace a new operating model based on open, multi-cloud, enterprise digital platforms, as well as mobile, immersive, and artificial intelligence-driven applications. Over the next 3 years, DX competency will be a condition for all businesses and will remain at the top of the CEO agenda. To transform, companies will need not only to master technology and algorithms, they'll also need to master data. Talent that brings this to the organization will be avidly sought after. By 2019, 450,000 tech jobs in Latin America will remain unfilled due to scarcity. For the IT industry, 2018 will see the third platform's second chapter move into full stride. This will unleash multiplied innovation through platforms, open innovation ecosystems, massive data sharing and monetization, hyper-agile application deployment technologies, an expanding digital developer population, the blockchain-fueled rise of digital trust, richer AI services, deeper human or digital interfaces, and a much more diverse cloud services world. For enterprises taking advantage of these technologies, 2018 will see accelerating digital transformation journeys. I said last year that the rising digital economy means that all enterprises must operate like digital native enterprises, re-architecting their operations around large-scale digital innovation networks, becoming, in effect, a new corporate species. Hold on a second. There we go. This year, our predictions continue to lay out a strategic blueprint for enterprises on their digital transformation journey, focusing on 10 key ingredients for becoming a digital native enterprise. 6 of these themes, DX economy, cloud 2.0, AI everywhere, HD interfaces, everyone a data provider, and everyone a developer, continue from last year, but show a significant acceleration and evolution. The other 4 predictions, DX platforms, hyper-agile apps, blockchain, and digital trust, as well as open API ecosystems, introduce critical new building blocks for becoming digital native enterprises. One repeating takeaway is that many enterprises' assumptions about what legacy and emerging third platform technologies can support are about to be blown away. Assumptions about who leading IT suppliers are, what IT leadership within enterprises looks like, and what IT sourcing decisions are appropriate in the changing marketplace are about to be turned upside down. This figure represents IDC's IT industry's top 10 predictions in terms of their likely impact across the enterprise and the time it will take for the predictions to reach mainstream here in Latin America. By mainstream, IDC means the broad middle of the bell curve of adoption, when 40 to 60% of enterprises that are neither the first movers and early adopters nor the last to act. Each bubble's size provides a rough indicator of the complexity and or cost an enterprise will incur in acting on the prediction. So that brings us to our first prediction. This prediction is about the function that will drive most enterprises to become digital native enterprises. It is about the ticking clock that is, or at least should be, running inside the heads of CEOs and other executives in every industry, driving them quickly along their digital transformation journeys. Organizations slow to digitize their offerings and operations over the next 3 years will find themselves competing for only a minority, and even a progressively shrinking minority, of their market segments opportunities. Several key metrics relevant to digital transformation will have a growing impact on company valuations. One of these is platform participation, measuring how well a company is drawing customers, channel partners, and developers to their offering. Another one is data value and monetization, new mechanisms for putting value on data under the company's control, and perhaps even more importantly, their ability to enrich that data with advanced analysis. And a final one would be customer engagement. Digital measures of customer engagement are proliferating and rising in importance. Good example would be the very common Net Promoter Score. Although it's difficult to gauge with any precision, IDC estimates that between 10 and 20% of global valuations are already tied directly to digital efforts. However, there is a great disparity between traditional investors looking for a return from established companies and those looking for growth from emerging digital companies like Tesla. Over time, this investor gap will wane, and by 2021, these digital measures will make up a large part of valuations for all enterprises, including yours in Latin America. Given the looming digitization of more than half of the global economy, digital transformation will continue to rise to the top of CEOs and line of business executives' priority lists. The urgency to digitally transform will drive an increasingly large portion of ICT spending. By the end of 2019, digital transformation spending is expected to reach $1.7 trillion worldwide, which is a 42% increase from 2017. And here in Latin America should reach $46 billion, which is a 54% increase from 2017. With the relatively low currency valuations versus the US dollar in Latin America, the opportunity for mergers or acquisitions both between regional companies or even more from companies outside the region will be enticing. The digital roadmaps and expected penetrations will become a metric that is part of any relevant due diligence process within Latin America. Business unit heads and their staff are typically at the forefront of the organization, either serving customers or collaborating with ecosystem partners. The changes in the DX economy are significant and can be difficult with new business models and changing consumption patterns. We will witness the evolution of organizational structures around DX strategies, requiring senior management to address cultural changes. Business unit heads must appreciate and embrace technologies or face replacement. The ability to contextualize technologies to deliver differentiated value to customers and the organization is going to be essential in the DX economy. IT leaders' IT investment decisions must be made in the broader context of enabling their enterprise's competitiveness in the increasingly digitized economy. They need to partner with business leaders to bring innovative disruption, not within the narrow confines of traditional IT priorities and investment models. The time frame for transforming the IT organization to support enterprise DX goals is shorter than many executives realize. The IT organization must make significant progress in transforming to a digital native model over the next 3 years. In the digital transformation economy, the competitive landscape has no national borders. As proven by the simultaneous entry of Amazon and Alibaba in the e-commerce marketplace in 2017, disruption can come from anywhere in the world in Latin America. A DX strategy must be drawn against global benchmarks, regardless of perceived regulatory or sovereign barriers to entry. The second prediction is about a new enterprise IT foundation for digital transformation, a new way of designing, sourcing, integrating, and running IT that accelerates digital innovation at the scale and pace required to compete in the DX economy. IDC calls this new enterprise IT architecture the DX platform, and it will rapidly emerge over the next 3 years. IDC defines the DX platform as the future IT architecture, enabling the rapid creation of externally facing digital products, services, and experiences, while also aggressively modernizing the internal intelligent core environment in parallel. IDC believes that organizations that can re-architect for scale on a DX platform design will stand out as most likely to emerge as a digital native enterprise in the critical next 3 to 4 years. The DX platform is primarily an externally facing, API-enabled platform, with the key objective to create a network or ecosystem of connected customers, partners, and suppliers that use and hopefully pay for the information and services available to them. A defining element of the DX platform is that it is data-driven, with an expanding variety of data pipelines plugged in from outside the enterprise. And that data, along with the enterprise's own data, fueling the artificial intelligence-driven models and code that form the basis of the enterprise's core IP in the digital economy. While some enterprises have digital platforms in place for isolated functions, such as digital marketing or supplier management, less than 10% of enterprises have an integrated enterprise-wide digital platform design or implementation in place. Business unit heads must appreciate and embrace technologies. Oh, sorry about that. Next slide. There we go. IT leaders should understand that although running a digital platform environment parallel to the enterprise IT environment might be a stepping stone in the process, the ultimate end goal is an integrated platform where the new intelligent core sits at the heart of the DX platform and is the foundation enabling sustainable digital innovation and ultimately the enterprise's competitiveness in the DX economy. CIOs need to understand that the architecture that they define to underpin the DX platform strategy will be a key enabler for the longer-term success of the whole enterprise. More importantly, the data-driven nature of the platform will mean that IT will have to work hand in hand with the digital and business teams to redefine the way processes link to the services being delivered by the platform. The technology leadership team should focus on scale as the underlying design principle for this platform. This being with a clear understanding that the exponential growth of data feeding the platform will mean that the key differentiator for the organization will be algorithms, the code, and the models that sit within the intelligent core. IT should be a critical part of the digital team that defines and builds that core. The DX platform should be seen as a key enabler for key business outcomes and priorities being laid out by the board and hopefully being driven by the CEO. A digital dream team will be interdisciplinary. The DX platform should not be owned by IT, although IT will definitely be an integral part of the team driving this DX platform. It should also span IT, digital, and business teams. As such, it looks very different from the traditional IT architectures that CIOs and enterprise architects might have historically put in place. The rate and extent to which your organization in Latin America can roll out the DX platform should be directly correlated to your organizational DX maturity across the IDC-defined dimensions of leadership, omni-experience, information, operating model, and work source. DX platforms are meant to cut across all workflows and business processes, evolving and transforming old IT to new digital capabilities. Business unit heads and their departments need to be part of this process and adjust habits and processes to make the transformation work in a sustainable fashion. Companies should work on focusing on scale as the underlying design principle for this platform, with a clear understanding that the exponential growth of data feeding the platform will mean that the key differentiator for the organization will be the algorithms, code, and models that sit within the intelligent core. This platform will be the driving force behind new processes that are created or even redefined across the organization. Also, you should ensure that all layers of the organization platform, spanning from infrastructure to software, are sufficiently open to allow interoperability with other members of the ecosystem. This could include partners, suppliers, and vendors. Moving on to our third prediction is related to cloud. Considering all cloud deployment types, from private on-premise to hosted and public off-premise, Latin America is accelerating its cloud catch-up. IDC Latin America IT spending trend surveys show an important increase in IT budget allocation to cloud, from 15% in 2016 to 29% in 2017. Regarding hardware infrastructure investments for the cloud, server, storage, and networking, they're also expected to grow at solid pace throughout 2021, with compound growth from 2016 to 2021 of 7%, 18%, and 18% respectively, compared with negative 4% compound declines for traditional deployment types. While the public cloud offering has lagged up to 2017, the future looks much brighter in Latin America. Recently, cloud mega platform providers have announced double-down investments in the region, including aggressive expansions in local data center footprints in order to address latency issues and more recent GDPR concerns that were constraining broader adoption. Taking into account these plans and the rapid adoption of private deployments, clearly hybrid multi-cloud environments will be the market standard in the years to come. As digital transformation initiatives gain momentum, the region will continue witnessing even more accelerated migration, both from traditional and on-premise to off-premise private cloud deployments, as well as more targeted workloads migration to public clouds growing deployments. A central role in this hybrid model transition will be played out by local and global system integrators, which are already rapidly changing their business models from a project basis to a different cloud-enabled managed IT services. The prevalent adoption will be more complex. It will not only be multi-cloud, but also multi-channel. As the adoption of the cloud expands dramatically over the next several years, the cloud is evolving to support a much wider variety of digital innovation, use cases, and workloads. 2018 to 2021 is a critical period for assessing cloud suppliers' ability to support the expanding Cloud 2.0 capabilities and use cases here in Latin America, and for companies to readjust their assumptions about what systems should run in the cloud. Some examples of key changes in enterprise cloud environments over the next several years include the following. By 2020, over 80% of Latin America enterprises will use multi-cloud services and platforms. This is a transition supported by investments to manage resources across platforms, with more than 1/3 of these organizations having already established mechanisms to operate their multi-cloud environments. The cloud environment will expand to the edge, as IDC predicts that by 2021, over 50% of companies in consumer-facing areas will spend more each year on upgrades to their network, computing, and storage resources in edge locations rather than in their core data centers. And over 20% of container instances will be running at edge locations, many serving Internet of Things workloads. By 2021, demand for non-86 instances will drive over 15% of public cloud adoption, up from 5% or less today, as the cloud becomes the launch pad for hardware optimized for things like artificial intelligence workloads, Internet of Things workloads, or computation of complex outcomes. Cloud resource management and integration of resources across cloud platforms will grow to become critical technical capabilities at IT organizations, driving this DX. Cloud providers and their ecosystems are recognizing this need to support customers' attempts to manage across complex and diverse cloud environments, and are putting more of a focus on enabling multi-cloud communication and integration. Adopting the cloud is no longer primarily about economics and agility. It's becoming enterprises' most critical and dependable source of sustained technology innovation. There will be major IT supplier leadership realignments over the next several years. Leading IT vendors will emerge around 4 platform galaxies, as we like to call them. The first is cloud mega platforms. So these would be global infrastructures as a service and platform as a service platforms. The second will be enterprise application platforms. So these would be major applications or SaaS offerings that provide platforms or APIs for developers to create extended or complementary solutions. The third of these galaxies would be cloud integrators or managers. These are independent software, cloud, and services companies focused on multi-cloud and hybrid integration and management. And the fourth galaxy would be industry cloud platforms. Within every industry, companies are vying to attract developers, data, and solutions, and establish a digital innovation power position. The cloud is coming to a neighborhood near all of you in Latin America, and even your IoT devices, your customers, your campuses, your branch offices, and anywhere else you need it to be. The emergence of cloud at the edge will open up vital new growth opportunities for many enterprises. Adopting the cloud is no longer just about economics and agility. Focus early on developing a structured integration framework across cloud platforms to reduce the rework and re-engineering of processes and allowing you to retain agility in the IT platforms at the enterprise. Engage early with public cloud providers and integration service providers to help influence the dominant frameworks that will be used for this integration. This will be especially important for larger IT organizations. Become involved in the early stages of creation of new digital services to participate in the specification, design, and fleet management of large numbers of edge IT assets deployed in critical locations. These might be in hospitals, mines, or even factories. Consider the effect of high latency, especially in geographies in Latin America with poor connectivity, as you consider the level of intelligence designed to reside at the core versus at the edge. Think strategically about your vendor choices. Vendors in the cloud platform galaxies no longer represent just their own offerings, but large partner innovator ecosystems. Assess the scope and strength of their ecosystems as closely as you do their in-house capabilities. Vendors competing in the application platform and integrator manager platform galaxies should demonstrate strong multi-cloud capabilities. Beware of those that are too tightly hardwired to a single mega platform provider. Bringing us to prediction number 4 is about artificial intelligence. The critical role of AI within almost half of DX initiatives will stress many skills that are going to be needed. The rapid adoption will continue to be turbocharged in 2018 by the cloud's AI war. This is really the ongoing battle among the major public cloud providers to outdo each other with an ever-expanding variety of AI-powered devices and services. In the Latin American region, 13% of enterprises plan to launch an AI deployment in the next 12 months, adding to the already 7% that have said that they began in 2017. This includes both companies that have an organized DX strategy and an ad hoc deployment. For example, Chilean retailer Ripley published a major success using IBM Watson technology behind their AI shopping assistant Ava, which in 2017 Cyber Monday managed 1 new customer request per second. Use of shopping assistant chatbots has been quickly adopted by other large retailers, and catchy AI assistant names like Bahianino, which is Casa Bahia, one of the largest retailers in Brazil, and Mia, which is in Chile for Paris, and Cencosud, a leading retail chain. They're sprouting up across the region. This is not just happening in the retail industry, however. Every customer-facing service or commercial activity, including health and government, will be impacted. Among the enterprise use cases for AI that IDC's research team has identified as having the greatest traction over the next 36 months in the region are IT automation, fraud analysis and investigation, sales and customer service recommendations or automation, and quality management. In the manufacturing industry, adoption of connected robots will just be a matter of a technology refresh in areas like automotive and machine assembly, where use of robots is already widespread and most new models are embedding AI capabilities leveraging the cloud. Several key use cases for AI in the enterprises will be within the IT organization itself. By 2021, IDC predicts that 50% of global enterprise infrastructure will employ some form of cognitive or artificial intelligence to improve enterprise productivity, manage risks, and drive overall cost reduction. Cybersecurity will also be a critical first-wave application of AI. IDC predicts that by 2020, 60% of the global 2,000 companies will use AI-based security. AI embedded in almost all IT and business system solutions will enable accelerated improvement enhancement cycles, through continuous learning and automation. Digital services and apps without AI inside will fall behind competitors' pace of innovation. IT organizations must acquire the much needed talent, both AI engineers and data scientists, to support the large portion of DX initiatives that are AI dependent. Since AI effectiveness depends highly on high quality and diverse data inputs, IT will need to invest in technologies to ingest, profile, validate, and clean multiple streams of high volume data that feed machine learning and cognitive apps. Additionally, IT may need to invest in storage infrastructure capable of storing and retrieving petabytes of structured and unstructured data for the relevant application. The IT organization will need to be among the enterprise's best and first use case environments for AI in development, infrastructure management, and cybersecurity. AI adoption deserves an interdisciplinary and cross-business unit strategy. Business leaders should consider the creation of an AI center of excellence to encourage discovery, learning, and cross-organizational collaboration between business, IT, and data scientists. Talent, both AI engineers and data scientists, will be needed to support the large portion of DX initiatives that are AI dependent. Plan for creating technology capabilities, which includes platforms, technologies, processes, governance, talents, and data components that will empower the enterprise. CIOs must create and continuously enhance an integrated enterprise digital platform that will enable new operating and monetization models. This we discussed in prediction number 2. IT will need to ensure the availability of best-in-class API management tools that interface with data feeds for AI-powered applications and services. Privacy and security will present serious landmines in Latin America for AI-based DX efforts. Define robust privacy and security rules for cognitive computing apps that dictate what data can be collected by these applications and the set of permissible uses for that data. Moving on to prediction number 5, a recent of 43 of Latin America's largest companies by IDC shows an increasing interest in innovation acceleration, with 75% of respondents using some form of formal agile methodology in 2017. While use of accelerating innovation practices is pervasive, use of underlying technologies to support it is still lagging behind, with only 40% of those companies studying using a cloud architecture to underpin the move from concept to production. This means that most agile innovation still relies heavily on traditional IT technologies, or at least not those supported by cloud. This is quickly about to change as global pressures are moving Latin American companies to do more from cloud for infrastructure efficiency to cloud for innovation agility. As enterprises create many new services for the digital economy, they will need to deploy a rapidly increasing portion of them in an entirely new way, taking advantage of the scalability, flexibility, and portability of an emerging set of hyper-agile application deployment technologies and approaches. These new foundation technologies and approaches support a much greater level of modularity and allow a much more rapid pace of improvement and enhancement. They will be the foundation for 10 times growth in the number of applications and microservices driven by a new generation of hyper-verticalized digital solutions. Importantly, containers and microservices and the cloud functions used to implement many microservices also lead the way for greater adoption of open source software in test and development environments to pave the way for cultural change towards more openness, innovation, collaboration, and agility. New types of applications leveraging IoT and analytics will need a modern application architecture that optimizes infrastructure to a new level using microservices and application architectures needed to include these options. The move to container technologies requires an upgrade of IT skills in the organization, as containers are a relatively new technology and may force the introduction of the open source approach and a changing culture. Use of microservices, cloud functions, and containers for application development in Latin America will accelerate the movement from an isolated and ad hoc cloud project strategy to widespread and cloud-first strategy, as lines of business will be more confident to reach not only efficiency and cost reduction benefits, but also accelerate business application use and DX initiatives. Agility and innovation as a driver for DX will demand heavier use of cloud infrastructures where rapid deployment and hyper-agile architectures are paramount. The ability to explore new apps leveraging emerging digital capabilities enabled by IoT, AI, virtual reality, or augmented reality, and blockchain will be easier and faster. However, the need to scale digital required connections to legacy and current systems and processes will remain. Cloud-native computing has evolved quickly, and deploying a microservice architected container packaged application in a PaaS environment is a safe, reliable way to deploy applications today. And this should be a target for most IT organizations. Application developers and operations teams will need to develop effective container management strategies. Also, function computing is still in its infancy, and there's a noted lack of interoperability with functions, which is essentially a risk of lock-in. So this segment still carries a buyer beware caution with detailed evaluations recommended. According to a survey of 600 IT decision makers carried out this month, December, in Latin America, 1 out of 5 companies in the region will invest in a digital and physical mix in customer experience for 2018, while more than a third of them will invest in AR, VR over the next 24 months. 60% will do so in artificial intelligence, and nearly 3/4 will invest in IoT solutions. The proliferation of more natural human digital interfaces, which we're calling HD, will allow enterprises to more deeply engage constituents, create hyper-personalized experiences, and as we've seen with voice-powered intelligent assistant devices and agents, approach a state of ubiquitous presence. To meet customer demand, service companies are equipping their field technicians with new tools such as tablets and smartphones that can help them extend their knowledge base, reduce dispatch and problem diagnosis, enabling fast and agile fault resolution. However, IDC believes that augmented reality, or AR, will be the primary platform that will revolutionize the role of the field service worker. According to IDC's Global 2016 Commercial Survey, at least 30% of IT buyers said that they were expecting to begin proof of concept or pilots of AR systems in the next 6 to 12 months. When IDC surveyed IT buyers about the top 3 reasons they were interested in bringing AR to their workforce, it was to drive increased efficiency, to enable hands-free work, and to improve worker safety. 3 items that essentially require a head-mounted display or glasses. IDC believes that AR will fundamentally change the way workers interact with digital information. From input to manipulation to consumption of digital information, AR should remove friction and enable new, more efficient business processes. AR will also impact workers' ability to interact with physical objects, as the Internet of Things makes it possible to associate real-time data with machines that employees use. While new interfaces promise to improve some workflows, some existing workflows may very well be disrupted. IoT and line of business must consider the impact of friction to business processes during new interface and device deployment. AR, voice, and biometric sensing are all complex technologies that promise to revolutionize business processes, but they represent significant challenges for IT, including device procurement, device management, software development and integration, and software lifecycle management. Shifting to new interfaces requires users to negotiate an often steep learning curve, so expect complaints along with praise. Very quickly, investment in digitization of commercial human digital experiences will accelerate. In the retail space alone, IDC predicts investment in AR, VR, and AI technologies in Latin America to reach $150 million in 2019. While this number might seem small, it is 2.3 times the expected spending for 2018, showing just how steep the investment ramp will accelerate in the short term. AR technologies and suppliers are still in early deployment stages. Accordingly, IT should build close relationships with AR hardware, software, and services vendors. There are a wide range of vendors and capabilities in the AR world. Carefully assess vendors' own capabilities. Research and trial all available voice-powered platforms. Examples are Alexa, Google Assistant, Watson, Bixby, Siri, Cortana, because not all platforms will produce the same results across the board. Buyers will need to fully assess each vendor and their ecosystems to ensure maximum compatibility with your organization and your selected use cases. Biometric data will carry significant security and privacy concerns. Organizations should conduct a risk assessment to identify risks as well as perceived risks associated with biometric data and devices. IT departments should ultimately prepare for the tsunami of data that will come from biometric devices. Coming to prediction 7, by far the biggest threat to the growth of the digital economy is the continuing erosion of trust, which has only been exacerbated by rising cybersecurity breaches. Strengthening digital trust at scale is truly a paramount priority for enterprise in the digitized economy. So now we have the entering of blockchain technologies, most famously known as the underpinning of the famous cryptocurrency Bitcoin. At the core of blockchain is distributed ledger technology, which is often known as DLT, that offers strong potential to broadly support digital trust at scale in a wide variety of use cases through four key factors. One is offering one version of the truth. The second is offering a transfer of value. Third is offering faster settlement. And fourth is the ability to have smart contracts. IDC believes the growing availability of blockchain as a cloud service will, just as the cloud has helped do with AI technologies, turbocharge its adoption over the next several years. IDC's blockchain research team predicts that these key use cases for blockchain adoption will be coming over the next 36 months. Manufacturing supply chain, financial services, retail supply chain, data services, healthcare, and even in state and local government. Today, most of the interest in blockchain is happening in finance in Latin America, where the first highly publicized project is Chile's Santiago Exchange, Bolsa de Comercio de Santiago, which will enter production stage in 2018. Almost all Tier 1 and Tier 2 banks in Brazil have initiated blockchain projects in different stages of development, at a minimum in the proof of concept phase. There are other use cases in progress in the region, such as Bolsa Verde do Rio de Janeiro, which is Rio de Janeiro's environmental exchange, and Venezuela's Smartmatic, which is a digital voting ballot. Early adopters in Latin America are currently advancing in the implementation of low-novelty uses of technology, usually tied to identifiable business imperatives. Most companies are either conceptualizing or working on producing their proof of concept, POC, or an MVP, minimal viable product, with a clearer view of the potential use of blockchain, but with difficulties into getting into a full production environment. Just a few have advanced in the deployment stage. As of today, there are no blockchain projects in the production phase in Latin America. It is expected that the first blockchain projects in full production mode will be deployed in the Latin American region by the second quarter of 2018. Blockchains are all about interconnected business networks. Organizations will need interconnectivity with various ledgers of others in their industry ecosystem, either for manufacturers, retailers, wholesalers, suppliers, for example. As blockchain-based business networks and transactions become more widespread, organizations not participating in blockchains will be at a significant speed and cost disadvantage. As the time frames of our blockchain predictions show, establishing blockchain ledgers and interconnections will occur at a slow and steady pace over the next 36 months. Early adopters have the opportunity to establish very strong positions. Slower adopters are not likely to be boxed out in the next 36 months, but should be initiating early-stage exploration about the technology and potential use cases. Delivering digital trust will be the biggest driver for blockchain in the Latin America region. Establishing provenance is a huge problem in all sorts of industries, from agriculture to luxury goods, even to information. This goes well beyond financial transaction. Business unit heads need to gain an understanding of blockchain, its capabilities and limitations. Use cases in 2018 will focus on smart contracts and delivering digital trust among organizations and their ecosystem partners. Investigate various blockchain consortiums for potential peers and partners to help get your organization started. If your organization is already pursuing an aggressive DX journey, it should have a blockchain strategy and plan in place. First, use cases should already be identified, and pilots should at least be in planning stages. The most urgent industries and use cases include manufacturing and retail, especially supply chains, as well as financial services within compliance and SME lending. For slower-moving DX travelers, 2018 is the time to, at a minimum, start paying attention, learning about the technologies, suppliers, and early adopter experiences, and start to develop scenarios about how your organization most profitably use blockchain as a service. Our theme for this prediction is everyone will be a data provider. As noted in Prediction 1, enterprises' ability to create, derive, and manage high-value data for their own use and gain financial leverage by packaging some of that data for the marketplace will be a key metric driving enterprise valuations. Relevant and high-value data will also be a key component of enterprises' value and power in the world of digital developers and ecosystems. In a CIO survey carried out in early 2017, IDC identified the early stages of data as a service consumption in Latin America for applications in the services industries. Early innovators monetizing data and developing data services in Latin America still amount to a small group, with 3.4 or 3.5% of surveyed companies in January of 2017 already reselling proprietary data or incorporating it in their value portfolios. As more enterprises have begun to view data as an asset, they have begun to invest more in technology to gain greater awareness of the data they already own and to assess the value of that data on its own or in combination with second or third-party data. In addition, some enterprises are investing in data curators and other related staff to help package data assets. In a region with scarcity of publicly available market information like Latin America and a persistent and sometimes heated debate around data issues like privacy and transparency, organizations are eager to find trusted and reliable sources of data. Before ingestion and curation, identification and proof of provenance become key requirements. In Latin America, data as a service will have the greatest impact for companies in advanced stages of DX, the 26% of companies that are already in the transformation stages of our DX maturity model. For them, data monetization becomes the base of the DX pillars, omni experience, information, and business operations transformation. The IT organization's responsibilities for data integration, aggregation, quality, and storage will become even more rigorous in enterprises that embark on monetizing data externally. Expect tightened controls and governance policies and procedures as the DaaS trend evolves. Customers will begin to view DaaS as an integral part of the purchased product or service, and service-level agreements around access to data will tighten as enterprises wrap DaaS around existing and new products and services. Business units that are keen to turn data into commercial offerings must partner with IT and or relevant ecosystem partners. These, unlike traditional and product services, will require greater care in handling customers' and third parties' data. For many businesses and their managers, data monetization is a completely new business and skill set that requires learning and experimentation. Ensure a closer collaboration between IT and the line of business responsible for bringing DaaS to market. Successful external monetization of data will require not only the technical capability to aggregate, store, and process data, but also the associated packaging, pricing, and distribution practices for various forms of DaaS. Seek partnerships with existing dedicated DaaS providers or with your preferred analytics and information management vendors to develop such a platform. Moving to prediction number 9, the theme for this prediction is everyone will be a digital developer. This is really an evolution of last year's prediction that enterprises would double or triple the number of DX developers in their organization. Low-code development platforms provide development environments that allow businesses to develop software quickly with minimal coding, minimizing the need for extensive coding experience. The platforms provide base-level code, scripts, and integrations so companies can prototype, build, or scale applications without developing complex infrastructures. Low-code or no-code software frees business stakeholders from reliance on traditional models for application development that require support from the IT organization. The first wave of use cases for low-code, no-code software has included data visualization, outlier detection, predictive modeling, enhanced content management, and key performance indicators management. In an increasingly global marketplace, talent sourcing in this area will continue to increase the cost of sourcing local Latin America coders. At the same time, it will increase opportunities to tap into the global crowd for resources. IT will need to mature processes for authorizing the use of low-code, no-code apps and the data those apps access within an enterprise's IT infrastructure by ensuring the apps comply with the organization's security and HR protocols. Organizations will be able to meet situational business requirements and reduce time to market without involving IT. Designate an application owner to govern best practices around usage for each low-code or no-code application. Application owners assume the responsibility of evangelizing the application throughout the enterprises. You should also define protocols and procedures for usage of low-code, no-code applications, such as the number of concurrent users, role-based access privileges, identity and access management, and data security requirements, among others. And finally, for prediction number 10, this is our last but certainly not the least important prediction, and it's about the element of a digital native operating model, creation of open APIs and developer ecosystems around them. This allows enterprises to massively scale distribution of digital platforms and services through third-party digital innovators. Unlike other areas of technological adoption where Latin America has a lag of 6 to 18 months versus advanced economies, programming and development standards are quickly embraced by the ISV, which is Independent Software Vendor ecosystem in Latin America, being that most of it is driven by global ISVs, while the local ISVs and their ecosystems are quick to take up the latest standards in development. Developing a successful open API digital ecosystem is not a project that is just about technical enablement and can be completed in 24 to 36 months. It's a new business model that requires sustained business focus and investment over multiple years. Enterprises without aggressive open API-based digital distribution strategies will stunt their own growth. Building a successful API ecosystem requires strong internal processes as well as IT and digital platforms. It also requires skills to understand how to incorporate them. Each of our 10 predictions stand on their own, each on a strategic area of IT focus and investment over the next 36 months for enterprises pursuing a DX journey. We've offered specific advice about each of these areas in the discussions, which I don't need to repeat again. And you can get a copy of this replay, I believe, starting tomorrow if you'd like to share it internally. And hope everyone has a great and profitable 2018. Thank you very much.